to the February meeting of the Albany Port District Commission. We'll go around and introduce ourselves. My name is Georgette Stephens. I'm the chair of the board.
Joe Coffey, Commissioner.
Dominic Tagliano, Commissioner.
Richard Hendrick, CEO.
Patrick Jordan, General Counsel.
Christine Studo, CFO.
Megan Daly, Chief Commerce Officer.
Angela, Administrative Assistant.
Cheryl Staff, Director of Security.
Matt Sullivan, Operations Manager at Logitech.
Roddy Yegan, Senior Construction Project Manager.
John Simon, Director of Strategic Initiatives.
Mike Cinquani, Commissioner.
And also joining us remotely is Commissioner Avio. Okay, so everyone received a copy of the minutes from our January 25th meeting. Does anyone have any suggested changes or edits?
Move if we accept the minutes of the January 29th meeting.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, also seeing that we have no members of the public here, we'll move on from public comment, and I'll turn it over to Christine. Oh, sorry. I'm sure we're going to talk about it later, but congratulations to the team on the grant from the state for the substation. It's very exciting.
Thank you.
It was, I think, the largest grant that she awarded, and so thank you for your continued efforts in ensuring, it ties in with the financial stability and being able to move forward significant projects like that. So sorry, I didn't want to, I'm sure we'll talk about it later, but I did want to acknowledge the team does a really great job of bringing in additional funds, and we appreciate the governor's support.
Thank you.
Okay. Sorry, so Christine.
So in the packet you have the January 31st, 2025 financial report. Fortunately, there isn't many variances or fluctuations with 1 month under our belt. We're just shy of our operating revenue by $14,000. Our operating expenses were under budget by $56,000. Our other depreciation and other expenses are reasonable at a variance of $18,000. The one thing that we did not have budgeted was our public-private revenue and expenses. When we did the budget, we expected to be completed with the project, but it is going, because of the delivery of equipment, it will go through the rest of 2025.
The variances for revenue and expenses, are they timing mostly, or?
Probably timing, and for revenue, it's just the fluctuations in activity. And expenses are probably mostly timing.
Anyone have any questions for Christine?
No.
I do want to mention for the finance committee, I will have the cash flow available and presented when we do the finance committee.
All right, Rich, I'll turn it over to you for your report.
Thank you. March 17th, hopefully we'll have good to report as we come back for the March board meeting, but Pat and I will be attending the AAPA Legislative Conference in Washington. It brings a big crowd of port legislative policy people for the conference, and we'll see with a little bit of happening in Washington what it's going to bring us to this year. As Georgette mentioned, and I'll leave it for Megan, the staff did a great job on that Fast New York grant, and things that take time or maybe always worth a little bit more when they finally come to be. I was asked a couple weeks ago to serve on the board of directors of the Seafarers International House of New York, which is closely affiliated with the Albany Maritime Ministry, as well as Seafarer Ministries in Duluth and Houston, and with the position in the AAPA, deal closely with those board directors too. So I accepted the request from the board of directors of Seafarers International, so I'll start serving on that board in June.
All right.
I didn't even get a chance to talk to you yet about it.
That's awesome, that's fantastic.
Yeah, good.
Gonna see you at the fancy dinner in April?
No, I start in June.
Oh.
Next April.
That's great, Rich. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay. So, I know you had mentioned that Penny was sick.
Penny is out sick. We've encouraged when people don't feel good to not
Agreed.
bring it to others. But, so the, report is here, speaks for itself, but we have been doing, some pretty good, communication externally and internally, and some business development over the past month. I think there's some decent, articles here. We did get a bit of a pickup, you know, with the award, as you had noted. It's also translated into some interesting business development, conversations. But other than that, on the external affairs, I don't have anything else to add.
Wonderful. Any questions for Megan on that? All right, Matt, I'll turn it over to you for ships, barge, and tonnage report.
Yeah, I mean, January was a busy month for us that kind of came out of nowhere, but we're excited for it.
We'll take it.
Yeah, 6 vessels, 1 wood pulp with 4,500 metric tons, and 5 project cargo ships totaling 2,600 metric tons. We've got, for February, just 1 ship and 1 export barge. We did get quite a few steel rail cars in. And looking ahead to March, through the spring, we look to be pretty busy with more GE generators, so it's picking up.
Do you know, like, how much did you anticipate versus receive? Is that like
Yeah, so I mean,
50% more, double?
yeah, probably double. GE didn't know or couldn't tell us back in October when we were doing our forecasting, and they've kind of changed that quite a bit on us. So it looks like we'll be busy throughout the year with more of their generators, and then we have a project starting probably June that will be export onshore wind that they're making in Schenectady that will go to Australia.
Wow.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Any other questions?
Pat, you, at some point during your plan to do year-over-year comparisons?
Yeah, Patty and I were talking about that last week, and she was coming up with like a spreadsheet or a template that we could do, and I can provide her with the info from last year versus this year.
Thank you.
Yep.
We had relayed some of the board dialogue from last meeting, but if you don't mind me saying, if you have any particular perspective, or it's worth sharing directly if you don't mind me.
If there's specific, what we'd wanna see on a
Yeah,
sheet
or like you
this?
like seeing year to date, or you don't need to see this, or how this is, just for input. I think it's good dialogue directly.
Yeah, I also think it was helpful, at one point, there was sort of a line graph that showed like 3 or 4 years,
Yeah.
right, like, so as you're, cause it's helpful to have a 1-year look back, but it, you know, sort of
Yeah.
post-COVID, right, like what those, look like.
Okay.
I think, longshore hours obviously are important, right, we wanna make sure that
Right.
they're getting to where they need to be. I love that you added the safety record, I appreciate that.
That's helpful. If you don't mind, I'll just go into
Yeah,
mine,
go ahead.
but one of the things I wanted to note was that we do have a commercial meeting with Logistec's team this week. We're looking forward to that.
Yep.
There's been news related to Logistec's leadership change. We had mentioned we met with their team toward the end of last calendar year. We really appreciate that Logistec's commercial team is coming in to meet with us. As we had all talked about, we'll do that here at the port. This may be a topic of conversation as well as business development approach going forward. We're also going to have an environmental conversation with the Logistec team, which is, I think, heartening on our initiatives and their initiatives as well, and where they may intertwine, so we're looking forward to that. I don't know if you wanna add anything, or.
I mean, not really. I mean, you know, I don't know did you mention to them that Rodney retired?
That's that was my
Oh.
inferment, but if you wanna expand on that, I
The
Yeah.
appreciate it.
the main guy that was here at that
Yeah,
meeting?
president,
Oh,
yeah.
that's so, I mean,
Yeah.
good for him, but,
yeah, it was
that was really disappointing, because
Yeah.
he seemed like he
Yeah.
really was on the same page with us at
Yeah.
that meeting.
I mean, that was a bit of a, you know, nobody really knew about it, I guess, probably, mentioned it to the CEO beforehand, but he told
Yeah.
us no, I guess we had a meeting on the 7th, and then he was, you know, retiring. So since then, they made he was a Canadian VP of Ops for, all the Canadian ports. So they've made him senior VP for the North, and they've made a guy that was kind of in Houston for GSM, our Gulf Stream Marine section. They made him in charge of all the southern terminals. So I don't know where the direction is yet. I mean, it's all kind of happened in the last couple of weeks. That's also why they're here, you know, commercial teams here, and you know, kind of see where that's all gonna go. But I mean, they've really worked on revamping their sales team, and that's all in place now, so I'm sure that we'll talk about that tomorrow. We have commodity-based people and regional people, and so there's more people to hit the ground running, so.
The things that you said at that first meeting about how much investment we've made and how that we don't see that correlating to increased maritime activity.
I think these are absolutely the point people, you know, to have that conversation within the next couple of days, because, you know, to Matt's point about the new direction on business development and commercial fulfillment, these are the new leaders, you know, executing that plan. So that's still moving forward, to approach it that way. So we're, you know, glad to have them here, now, and we can share that point. That's a good point. Maybe in fact we'd even replay, you know, some of the presentation, although I know there's 2 new people versus some of the others will still be there too, but
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think we wanna lose that point, cause I felt like Ratty was like, oh, Rodney. I was like, oh, and got it. So I'd hate to lose that.
You know, the thing that I liked was in seeing some of the people in the halls in anticipation of it, they're here all week. One person said, you know, that's a big reason why we are here, because of the conversation we had last
Oh,
time.
that's great.
Hopefully, yeah.
That's great.
Yep.
A couple other things to mention, thank you for those comments on the ESD grant. I liked it when the Capital Region ESD office said that they were proud of the announcement too, being that the largest award was here, but also they've been very supportive of this project, this aspect, in the big scheme of things and the big numbers that we've seen related to the project development isn't even the biggest number. However, I think it's quite critical timing. You know, it's always been identified from the beginning that a critical path item is the power. And as we've had business development conversations all along, access and timeliness of the power is key. So we appreciate the governor's fulfillment of that funding. We are starting conversations with them now of the timing of that grant, when the timing of decisions can be made related to project implementation of that. But as you imagine, you know, Roddy's got that work at the ready to be able to fulfill that.
Was there concerns on the lead time for the equipment, or?
Well,
Our equipment's already on order. This will provide for installation of
Oh,
all
okay.
of the equipment, so that's been the strategic kind of approach here, is make
Yeah.
sure that we can flow from receipt of equipment directly into install.
and keeping that pace with the grant availability of funds. As you
Yeah.
know, it's reimbursement, and also you gotta get all your ducks in a row on the contract administration, so that's the other aspect.
Could I add in a little bit?
Sure.
So just recapping on the other components that are included in the grant beyond the substation, we also had included budget for a fire pump intake station, so the fire suppression or fire protection needs of the site can be met. That requires a withdrawal and intake pump station be constructed. It also included budget for a sanitary treatment plant, and then a wharf test program where we can advance some test piles and get better information and data for future construction program for the wharf. It also included budget for additional engineering support, the management support, and some site work to augment all of those scopes. So I just wanted to kind of throw that picture out there.
Talked about a sanitary treatment plant. Is that gonna be a point discharge into the river or pre-treatment in the town?
It's point discharge into the Hudson. Permitted already.
Other things to note is we've mentioned before about other opportunities funding-wise that we've pursued that we are still waiting on. One is NYSERDA. They have sent a communication related to that on some inquiries. We responded, and also some utility aspects we're pursuing as well, and continuing to pursue opportunities that may also impact the direction industry-wise or not, and where there's support there. In terms of business development, I wanted to mention we've had a couple of meetings related to some of the different sites and business opportunities. We're still pursuing that, but we do have a meeting planned with all of our team and the city of Rensselaer for next week, just in general on that site and what is a good fit there and what's supported and what's the best path. So that will be next week, and most of our team will participate in that. I think that's it for me.
Any questions for Megan or Patty? So we have a couple resolutions to discuss and go through. The first one is enacting, extending our contract for an additional year for insurance services with Marshall Sterling for $30,000 for a year. We've already done 4 years with them, and so this would extend for 1 more year. Anyone have any questions or concerns? I'll take a motion to approve resolution 8-2025. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The next two are for sponsorships, which the board is allowed to do. The first being for $500 for the Waterford Canal Festival. So 200th anniversary, it's something that we've participated in every year. We bring the boat up. It's a really great opportunity to have kids have a chance to get on the boat and learn more about the port. Does anyone have any questions or concerns?
It's a good event.
Take a motion to approve resolution 9-2025.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The next sponsorship is for the annual meeting of the North Atlantic Ports Association at the amount of $1,000. Obviously, we are very active in that organization and receive extreme value in the committees that we serve on and the lobbying and other things that they do. Does anyone have any questions or concerns about the $1,000? All right, I'll take a motion to approve resolution 10-2025.
Motion to adopt.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so the next two, I'm going to maybe, is it Pat, Christine? Therefore, the first one probably is a little bit easier. It's for lighting, LED lighting and electrical upgrades for sheds 3, 4, and 5. It went out to bid, 2 responses were received, and the staff is recommending utilizing J. McBain Electrical Company Aluminum Business Enterprise and lowest qualified bidder at an amount of $207,632.
What's our sources of funds on these?
It's, New York State PFRAM.
Okay, thank you.
We do have a matching. Portion of that.
Thank you.
It's in the budget. Any questions or concerns?
Move that we adopt resolution 2025-11.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, so the next one is, supplemental engineering services, with, McFarland Johnson for additional stormwater pollution prevention plan inspections that were required, through the town of Bethlehem and DEC. With that one, I will.
I can cover it.
Okay, wonderful.
So an additional set of months to cover the required SWIP inspections is included in this, but the majority of the change order is actually for the ongoing groundwater monitoring requirements that we have in place. While construction is active, we have to perform monthly groundwater testing and lab sampling for Beacon Island. So that is a bulk of the change. The rest of it is related to the stormwater inspections.
There is a change notice, included with the resolution. I just wanna make sure. There was any questions? Yeah.
No, I guess, I was just thinking, do they, do proposals for the lab analysis? RFPs for the lab analysis?
It was subcontracted through McFarland Johnson.
I understand, but do they do it? Do they find some, do they
Are they
do RFPs?
competitively bidding it?
Well, it's good, healthy to get some price checks on some of this work.
I know, we had done a couple different prices on it some time ago. I'm not sure if they have since ATL's already been on board.
Maybe for the future, it might be helpful to grab through some of these, because I know these, a lot of the laboratories have fee schedules that change every year. Some of them are dramatic.
It is quite expensive.
So we can definitely look at that for the
Next
next
time.
round. Yeah.
I move that we adopt resolution 12, 2025.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
So I know we have, some business to discuss in executive session, but is there any other business before we move into executive session? Okay, so I, would like to take a motion to enter executive session for the proposed acquisition, sale, or lease of real property. Thank you. Motion second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So there was no action taken during executive session. Our next meeting will be actually on Monday, March 24th. At noon, we'll start with the audit committee meeting, and then we will turn over into our regular board meeting. With no other items for discussion, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.